nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in again to the second episode of Cop Chat. And for those who tuned in the first time, we thank you. It was a huge success, and the feedback that we received was incredible. So thank you all, and we hope to continue this episode. Before we get started, we'll also do introductions. The head of the Community-Oriented Policing Unit, Sergeant Don Ship. Officer Shirley Dong. Officer that we have with us, Officer Michalak, and Officer Iorio. Am I pronouncing that right? Iorio. I'll get that correct. I'm sorry. And for points of light, Sergeant Ship.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight. Points of light that I have. Come meet the cop unit at the Peace and Unity Rally, May 23rd, 2021, hosted by Councilwoman George Ship Freeman. You can also meet the cop unit on the same day, May 23rd, at the Wheel and Walk to Worship. That starts at Temple Emmanuel, 100 James Street, Edison. And we're pleased to announce that we have launched our own faith-based tour. We want to tour houses of worship throughout Edison, and we also would like your participation. So if you would like us to join you, please give us a call or email at cop@edisonpd.org. We also are pleased to announce that we have started our bicycle tours. So if you have an event in a township that you would like us to attend or participate in, reach out to us, and we look forward to seeing you when we're riding our bikes through your township area.
All right, thank you, Sergeant Ship. And today, folks, we are going to speak about the process of going to get gun permits. And with us today is Officer Michalak. And Officer Michalak.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you to everyone for taking the time on this beautiful evening to attend this meeting. My name is Melissa Michalak, and I've been a police officer for 18 years. I'm currently assigned to the Records Division as one of the firearm investigators. I hold a bachelor's degree, and I am the proud mother of 3 young children. I would like to thank our Chief of Police, our Deputy Chief of Police, and also the officers of the COP unit for holding this first ever, not only in Edison, but the first ever in the entire state of New Jersey, live Zoom meeting focusing on firearm applications. The purpose of this meeting and me being here is to clarify a lot of firearm applications. The process has changed from the past. Many of the applications are now electronic. We posted a live tutorial this week on the police department website, along with the Facebook page, of how to apply for a firearm as if you were a first-time applicant. I encourage everybody who has never applied before to please watch the video. And if you have any questions or concerns while you're applying, to call or email us. We also are the first in the state of New Jersey to have a QR code for firearm applications. So you can come in, get our business card, go to the township website, scan a QR code, and it will take you right to the firearms application. So when COVID hit, a lot of things for firearms, unfortunately, came to a halt. When you apply for a firearm in the entire state of New Jersey, there's a very intense background we must complete. You need to apply in the FAR system, which is the state mandated website for firearms. Once you do that, you also have to have a reference check where you're putting 2 references in and also your employment. You're also agreeing to conduct a mental health check. You have to get fingerprinted. So there are many aspects that get included in this entire package of a firearms application. What happened is when COVID hit, many state agencies shut down. Many mental health agencies shut down. So everybody was applying for firearms. They were still coming to us, but there wasn't much that we could do with them because the outside entities were closed. So a backlog occurred. It was out of our hands. It was out of, everybody's hands. And there wasn't much we could do. Edison is now only about 60 days behind on applications. We have moved along from being about 6-7 months behind to about 60 days, give or take, behind. I can tell you that nobody's applications has been held up because of officers in the Firearms Investigation Unit. If your application was taking longer, it could be because your references didn't complete their part of the reference paperwork. It could be because you had a mental health hit. It could be because you lived out of state. Many people don't realize that if you live out of state in the past 10 years, we're notified, then we need to contact you as the applicant, find out where you live, have you complete more forms, and then send that to the state where you live. We then have to wait to get an answer on that back. That could take anywhere from 1 week to numerous weeks. Of course, that is expanding the time frame. Same thing with your fingerprints. Not all fingerprints come back to us in electronic format. Some of them come back to us in the mail. Again, that is another thing we have to wait on. If you apply with incorrect information, we then have to correct that information. You may have to reapply, so that is holding up your application. So please know and understand that we're doing everything we can to process applications accurately, in a timely manner, and to protect everybody, not only in Edison, but the state of New Jersey, to make sure that everybody who is getting a weapon qualifies to own that weapon. The state police went to electronic permits in October. When they went to the electronic permits, they said that you have to collect the dues for the firearms ID card and the permits prior to applications being processed. That was a big change for not only Edison, but the entire state. We used to do your background, have you come in and you would pay when you came in to pick up your items. Well, now they changed it. You have to pay before. So again, Edison was one of probably the top 5 or 6 departments in the state of New Jersey to go to online payments. We hit a couple bumps in the road, but nothing that we didn't straighten out with a little communication. But we're at a point now where everything is set up, it's running smoothly. So when you pay for your application, you pay the state fee when you apply in the FAR system, and then you have to pay the state mandated fees to Edison Township. $5 per ID card, $2 per permit. So the Edison Police Department has the payment link set up on the website where you can go on and pay. That's another thing that was holding up many people's applications. Although we were sending out robocalls and emails, people were not paying. We therefore could not begin your application background check until those payments were made. So please visit the Edison Police Department website and make sure you follow all the directions on there. A couple things I'm going to go over just to help everybody with applying. We're very busy in the office, so if you get my voicemail, it has my email address. I do answer emails when I'm not at work. Email me, and I get back to every person within a day or two, if not that day. There are times I'm out of the office, and I will send it to my partner, Officer Padana, and he too does the same. One thing people need to be mind of when you're applying for a firearm is once the date you apply, you only have 90 days to get fingerprinted. Again, that's a state law. So if you apply today, you have 90 days from today's date to get fingerprinted. If you are not fingerprinted within those 90 days, your application will be withdrawn. So please be cognizant of the fact that if you know you can't go get fingerprinted in those 90 days, wait to apply. You can apply as many times as you'd like, but make sure you go get fingerprinted. So let's get back to the electronic permits real quick. I apologize if I'm jumping around. It's a lot of information contained, and I want to do my best to target areas that I'm getting phone calls and emails from. So I'm going to talk a little bit about e-permits. E-permits were just started in, I believe, November. So now when you apply for a handgun permit, you do not have to come to Edison Police Department. If you receive a handgun permit, you will receive an email from noreply@njportal.com. The email will state if you were approved. It will give you the expiration date of your permit and tell you how many permits you were approved for, which would be the number of permits you initially applied for. That is what you will take to a licensed firearm dealer, and that will serve as your permit. Permits are good for 90 days. If you don't use it within the 90 days, it will automatically renew for another 90 days. Originally in Edison, our paper permits, we gave you that full 180 days. After that, you would have to reapply. So now in the New Jersey State Police system, it's 90 days. If the permit is unused, it will automatically renew for another 90 days. So again, that total is 180 days. You don't make a purchase within that 180 days, the permits are no good. You will be going through the process all over again. And I mean the process. Whether you're applying for a change of address, permits, name change, gender change, lost or duplicate card, the process is the same. Many people are emailing saying, you know, I already have my firearms ID card. What's taking so long for my permits? Well, we have to do the same background every time a person applies. Your references are checked again. Your employment is checked again. The rest of the other approximate 7 checks we do are done again. So I apologize that it is a lengthy process, but that's what it is. Firearm ID cards are now electronic. This is something new the state police just rolled out. You no longer have to come to your police department to pick up an ID card. It's the same as the permits. Your information will be contained in an email, and you can print it out. We always tell everybody, try to laminate it, keep it in a safe spot. When you're transporting weapons, take it with you. If you're going to a licensed firearm dealer, take it with you. Again, they're electronic. You will receive an email, and you'll be able to print it out. One thing that I was made aware is if you apply for a firearms ID card without permits, the emails from the state police are generic. They will say firearms ID card and/or permits. Now, if you only applied for firearm ID card, it's still going to say the and/or permits. Again, it's a generic email. So it goes off of what you applied for. If you only applied for a firearms ID card and you see the email says and permits, well, then only the section of firearms ID card will apply to you. So whatever you applied for is what that email is pertaining to you for. Please don't think that you were then approved for permits if you didn't apply for permits, because that's not the case. I think that's it for me right now, unless we have some questions coming in.
Well, we're definitely going to open up for some questions, and that's a lengthy process. I'm sure people do have questions. So we're going to ask people, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. I will I will unmute you, or you could put it in the Q&A chat as well. Just bear with me to, let's see. We'll keep it to this topic right now, the gun permit. We'll get into the other questions. And I ask everybody to keep it to public safety concerns. That's what we're focusing on here, and to the gun permits. I got a question here from Joseph. My question has to do with a pistol permit that was issued by the township in January 2021 and expired on 4/26/21. I ordered a Glock 43 from the Atlantic Tactical on 3/12/21. The permit was extended. AT tells me the guy will be in June. So the question is, what do I do if the permit expires before the guy is in?
Okay, so if your permit expires, let's just review that real fast. You have 90 days. The permit automatically renewed. That's what happened in this case. After that second renewal, unfortunately, you're going through the entire process again. You will not, if you were a first-time applicant, have to get re-fingerprinted again, because you were already fingerprinted and you only need to be fingerprinted usually one time. So you would go back online to the FAR system. You would select apply for a purchase permit for a handgun. And again, we would be going through that process with reference checks, employment, and the checks we spoke about. So again, total 180 days, and then you're reapplying again.
Okay. Next question. If we were denied, how do we go about an appeal?
Okay, so first things first, denials. I just want to tell everybody, denials are not permanent. You can put in 50 times. You could be denied 48. Every person is unique. Every situation is unique. So if you were denied, first you can call and speak with me. You can email me and I'll have a conversation on why you were denied. You have 30 days from the date you received that letter, which also is done through an email, but I certified letters to you stating why you're denied, to appeal it with the Superior Court in New Brunswick. Again, just a reminder that denials are not lifelong. You can reapply. Many people are denied for juvenile reasons, and then in the future, they go through the process, they're approved in the future.
Okay. Okay. This is actually a really good question by Paul. Any thoughts on, for the Edison Police Department, offering gun safety classes or training?
We do not offer public gun safety classes. There are many licensed firearm dealerships in the state of New Jersey that have ranges that do offer those classes. So I would encourage you to look into those licensed firearm dealerships for such.
Thank you so much. I went into my email. Oh, he's getting back to us. I'll pass that along to you at the end. If you have a handgun and pass away, how should your family dispose of a gun legally?
The best thing to do is always to include handguns and shotguns in a will. That way it is still legally going to somebody. So we encourage people to remember to add them into a will.
Paper ID. Can a backup email with the same information be obtained? If so, the paper ID is lost, does the FID have to be applied again?
So we're not reissuing electronic cards, if I'm answering this correctly. If you have a paper firearms ID card, that's still good. It's still active for life. There's no expiration, and there's no reason for you to get an electronic one. If you lost your identification card or had it stolen, you would need a police report to get a new one, and you would go through the process of applying all over again. On the first page, or I'm sorry, on the second page, when it says, what are you applying for? One of the items states, and lost or stolen identification card.
Okay. I applied for 2 pistol permits and only received 1 electronic permit. I made my first pistol and was wondering if another electronic permit is on its way. Is there a waiting period between purchases? And I think
So I think we discussed that
discussed that.
before. If you applied for 2 permits, then we would approve or deny you for those 2 permits as long as the application was together. So if you applied today for 2 permits and you are approved, then you would get an email that you were approved for those 2 permits. Again, the end of the question.
Was
I
there,
know
yeah, we answered the, is there a waiting period between purchases?
So there is a waiting period. Again, it's 1 handgun every 30 days in the state of New Jersey.
Once a handgun is purchased legally from a licensed dealer, can you speak more on what considerations need to be taken into account while transporting the firearm in a car?
Okay, so when you're transporting a firearm in a car, it should be locked and secure in your truck out of reach and separate from the ammunition.
All right, let's see if there's any more on this topic.
Let me just
Yes,
correct that. Locked and secured in your trunk. I don't mean just take the gun and throw it in your trunk. Put it in a lock box, put a trigger guard, a trigger lock on it, and then lock it in your trunk.
after the state police approval, what is the approximate time for Edison Police to review and approve a handgun submission?
Again, we went over that right in the beginning. That depends on every single application is different and unique to that person. If you have, something in your past, a criminal record, a mental health record, you lived at 5 different addresses out of state, your reference don't finish the background, your employer's not cooperating with us, every application is different and unique in itself.
Here's one. Can I purchase a handgun online or at a FFL? I don't know what that is.
So if you purchase a handgun online, it has from out of state, it would then have to be shipped to a New Jersey licensed FFL. They would then conduct different checks there, and you would have to pay a transfer fee. So a lot of people go up to Cabela's to buy a gun up there in Pennsylvania. It then has to be shipped from Cabela's to a licensed firearm dealer here in New Jersey. It cannot be shipped to your home.
If, in terms of transportation regarding a handgun, what if the vehicle is a pickup truck?
Again, lock it up, put it in a lock box, put the trigger lock on it, and put it as far away from you as possible.
All right.
We really want those weapons to be out of reach, for everybody's safety.
And yes, I believe magazines out of the handgun during transportation?
Yes.
I think that just about answers all the questions.
Very good.
Thank you so much. And there's a lot going on. There's a lot to process there for people that want to apply. So we thank you.
If I may, just
Yes.
remember to email us, if you're applying and you don't know what to do, email us. If you're older and you're not good with computers, or you're just not good with computers overall, call us. We will have you come in, sit down with us, and complete your application with you. We have done that in the past for many people. We're pretty open to come in, sit with us. We would rather help somebody do it the right way than have to recheck you. Something's wrong. We have to withdraw you, do it again. My partner and I, like I said, we're very open with having people come in, sit down with us. And we like to meet who we're giving weapons to, because now that everything's electronic, we don't get to meet the applicants. We're communicating with email and the phone, but we would like to meet you. So, stop in and see us.
Absolutely. And we are going to keep it to obviously public safety concerns. We have some emails that we received over the course of the last month. And we had questions from last time around that I believe that we're going to follow up on. So here's one right now from John. What is being done to combat the early morning break-ins? Shirley?
To combat early morning car burglaries in Edison Township, our police department is increasing patrol presence in neighborhoods that are frequently targeted for car burglaries and/or neighborhoods that we are aware that we're targeted. I want to advise everyone that the most important thing to do to prevent yourself from becoming a victim of car burglary is to secure your vehicle. we find that the majority of time, the victims did not secure the vehicle. Our unit, which is the community-oriented policing unit, are also taking a boots on the ground approach, where we are approaching residents and speaking to them to ask what they see to get more intel. Often we find that residents are not comfortable calling in to our police department or approaching marked vehicles. I want to remind everyone that the community is our eyes and ears. And if you see something, hear something, it doesn't matter what time of the day it is, we want you to report it to the Edison Police Department. Our phone number is 732-248-7400, and you hit option 1 to speak to a police dispatcher.
Thank you. We have another email here to Sergeant Ship. I am from Margate. We have some car parking issues in our complex near Evergreen Road and Judson Street. We noticed some area are reserved for fire department emergency water for the fire department. Can the Edison Police Department, fire department help us to free up some parking space?
Hi, sir. I believe I spoke with you, contacted by office. What we can do is you have a board there, your co-op. We can work with them and Melissa Lloyd. Certainly, if those are spots designated for fire trucks or emergency vehicles, we want to come up with a comprehensive plan and we can offer suggestions. But at the end of the day, it's up to the board there.
Okay. And sticking with the sergeant here as well. I commute to Edison and have for almost 30 years using the Garden State Parkway North over the Driscoll Bridge, and proceed to 514 West from there, from Ford Woodbridge Avenue. The merges and exits were difficult enough before, but now that the striping has really restricted the movement between lanes, everybody breaks the law and crosses over to the solid lines like it's nothing. Please, says number 1, look into the snarly tooth area. Number 2, since I cannot make the session tonight, bring it up as a topic, although people who reside in Edison so basically the on Woodbridge Ave over there, I believe they just paved didn't they pave that part of the
Yeah, I believe
highway?
she's talking when she's getting off the highway
Right.
and it's going to there. What we can do is coordinate with some agencies and get them to come out there and so if they can do a reassessment for you. Unfortunately, those are not township roads, so we're going to have to defer those to the appropriate authority.
Okay. Melissa, what accountability is there when Edison Police Department violated law-abiding citizens' civil rights with not process their FID application within 30 days required by law? What steps have been taken to process the FID applications in the appropriate time frame?
Well, again, I think we touched on that it's a little hard for us to process applications when the state is in a state of emergency during a statewide shutdown for the pandemic. So you have to understand that certain things were out of our hands. We've done everything possible to catch up. We are one of the top cities in the state to have caught up, and informational sessions such as this, again, we're the only township doing this. We are the first ones doing it. The process was different. If you have any suggestions for us, we're open to it. However, I feel, right or wrong, that Edison right now is top notch with these firearm applications. We used to process, about 400 applications a year. Last year, we did over 1,400 applications. So, there comes a time where a pandemic hit. You got to cut us a little slack. We're
Right.
here every day working.
Absolutely.
Some people know it. We're answering calls. We're answering emails. We're doing as many applications we can a day. This is not something that I don't think anybody wants us to rush through and put a weapon in somebody's hands who should not have one. So I apologize. Maybe we're looking into this a lot, but it's for everybody's safety.
Here are 2 questions. Somebody that couldn't join us this evening. Is there a firearms store or firearms range that the Edison Police Department supports? And as I would like to support them in my them with my business as well. I also want to say thank you to the Edison Police Department for always being so quick to respond to my questions via email and for always making me feel so welcome when I come to pick up permits. So great job by the Edison Police Department. And as far as the gun ranges, firearm ranges, I don't know if there's any specific ones.
We support every firearm range in the state, every licensed firearm dealer. You know, they were hit just as hard as us with this pandemic. They're a little behind. They're getting, you know, taught this new way of accepting e-permits, looking at the permits on people's phones. You know, they've had to learn this new process as us have had to learn it. So I can't give you one specific. I would say Google it. There's so many out there,
Right.
and every dealership that we've encountered and we've spoken to has been phenomenal.
This is regarding Harding Ave. I guess the complaint is, can we look at, I guess people are making illegal U-turns on Harding Ave. If that's something that we could, you know, take a look at. I don't know, run patrol guys down there, but he's got obviously a complaint regarding illegally making U-turns there on Harding.
Yeah, I believe they did contact us, and they said something to the effect of there were trespassers, children trespassing
Yes.
on their property to their playground area. We certainly would like to meet with you because, again, as a condominium association, your board has to approve if you can put up those trespassing signs, no trespassing signs. You can't just do it as an individual member. As far as the traffic with the illegal U-turns, we can conduct a traffic study and hopefully get some mitigation for you.
And the last one here is regarding truck traffic on Old Post Road, specifically around Wooding Ave and Stony Road. Near the new Wawa, trucks use this as a shortcut from Route 1 to go across Woodbridge Avenue to Meadow Road. So truck traffic in that area as well.
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, some of those streets are residential and they ban truck traffic. So I'm going to meet with our new Sergeant of Traffic, Doug Turner, and again, come up with a comprehensive plan, because the one thing we don't want is to deteriorate the quality of life of our residents in our township.
Okay. Well, that's it for questions. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I think this was very informative. And we learned a lot regarding the gun permits. So if there's anything else you guys have to say or want to say, we're going to pretty much wrap it up now.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in, and we enjoy the support of our community. It's been a tremendous effort that we've undertaken, and your support means a lot to us.
All right. And thank you for the officers for coming by, stopping by, and informing us on this very important topic. And we will, folks, if you have any other questions, you could obviously email. Is there an email address too that they could?
For non-firearm questions, you can email cop@edisonpd.org, or if you do send them to me, I'll forward them to Melissa or Dave.
Okay. And we will update everybody on the next Cop Chat episode. And again, we thank everybody for tuning in, and we will see you next time. All right. Take care. Thank you, guys.